Many of these skin conditions are inflammation driven from the inside out. And if you can lower overall body inflammation, you're going to have better, nice, pretty skin. Cortisol is a very inflammatory hormone when it's produced all the time. And even worse, it wreaks havoc on your gut. Having good gut health is the key to good skin health. And if our cortisols are out of balance, that can trigger all of these skin problems and actually make them worse. Solve these skin problems without a bunch of high dollar drugs, because that's one of the things I see nowadays. Many of these drugs just put a band-aid on things and don't really fix it. Welcome to the Trusted Pharmacist, where you'll learn the truth about how the body works. Welcome back to the Trusted Pharmacist podcast. I'm your host, Steve Hoffart. What if I told you your skin rash has nothing to do with your skin and it could be caused by something else? As a pharmacist, one of the most common things we get on an everyday basis are prescriptions for skin rashes, things like eczema, psoriasis, acne, and those type things actually sometimes have nothing to do with your skin, but are caused by other problems. Your skin is the largest organ in your body, and it tends to reflect what your overall health is. So your beauty really only is skin deep, because underneath your skin, your body could be signaling inflammation. And a lot of times, if the skin is the weak link, that's where you're going to see other problems with your overall health. As a traditionally trained pharmacist, I get it. When you go to the doctor and you have a skin condition, whether it be eczema, it could be psoriasis or acne or any of those type conditions, your doctor's trained to just treat what's going on, put a band-aid on it. For instance, like eczema. The traditional therapy is just give a steroid, knock out the inflammatory reaction, and that'll typically work. But what happens is when you're given the steroid and you use it, your rash will go away because it blocks that inflammatory response at the skin level. But what's kind of crazy is the inflammation and the trigger for that is actually underneath the skin. It's being turned on from what's going on inside your body. And so when you stop the steroid cream on top, the inflammation underneath doesn't stop. And all of a sudden, the eczema comes back. Then guess what happens? You go back to the doctor and saying, hey, that cream cleared things up, but now all of a sudden my rash came back. So the next thing you do is a doctor will give you a medium potency steroid. You'll use that for 2 to 3 weeks, and then we repeat the same process because we're treating this inflammation at the skin level, but not in the overall body level. And when that happens, we're really just putting a band-aid on things and things aren't really going to get better. And it gets really frustrating because long-term steroid use is not good for your skin. Same type thing for acne. What do we do with acne? We do acne, we treat, and we typically use topical antibiotics. And that'll sometimes help to clear things up, or we'll use things like retinoids or Accutane to help clear the skin up or turn it over quicker. And sometimes that'll help, but we're totally ignoring the root cause. Big common root causes that I see that trigger these skin conditions that get ignored and looked at are things like hormone pathways. Do we have balanced hormones? Most importantly, and a huge one, is gut health. Remember what I just said? Doctors use antibiotics to treat acne. But what if that antibiotic actually makes your gut less healthy and actually can drive inflammation in the gut and actually make your skin conditions worse? And that's what's kind of unique about an antibiotic sometimes in the use of treatment for acne. One of the reasons that it works for acne is it doesn't kill the bacteria in the skin. It actually changes the gut microbiome, and that gut microbiome then sometimes reduce inflammation, and that's why your acne clears up. Other common causes, you could have toxins. Your body don't break down certain metabolites the right way. And then the last big thing that sometimes I see is problems with nutrient depletions. If you don't have adequate vitamins and minerals, your skin doesn't work well, and that can cause problems. So let's take a little deeper dive and look at those other things, those causes, and what we can do to fix it. So why should you take your skin health seriously? Because really, your beauty is within, and your skin is only just a manifestation of something going wrong that's even deeper. So when you have a breakout, or if you have acne, or you have a red itchy patch, or you're having things that are even like a wrinkle, these are signs that there's problems with your gut or your immune system, and you have nutrient issues. So ignoring skin rashes or skin problems and just saying, oh, that's just something that's happening, you're really missing what's going on deeper, and you need to take a better look at that. Because when you ignore these root problems that are causing your skin problems, you're also ignoring these root problems that are causing other health things. So when you don't take care of your gut, or you don't balance your hormones, or you don't replace vitamins and minerals, these are going to cause problems like fatigue and tiredness. You're going to have bloating. You're going to have diarrhea. You're going to have chronic inflammation and problems with your gut. It also can affect other things, and those involve like your cardiovascular system, because all of these other hormonal and all these other issues affect other parts of the body. It just so happens the skin is the part you see, but all these other changes are happening on the inside. And if you don't take care of your skin or take care of these root causes, it's going to show itself in some other place later on. So if you equate clear skin to better health, let's work on fixing the gut. Let's work on balancing hormones, and let's replace those vitamins and nutrients so our skin just doesn't look good, but our overall health is better. So to start this process, we have to heal the gut. And what that involves is taking out all of those bad foods that are causing problems and adding all the good foods back in that fix the issues. So the first thing is eliminate those inflammatory type foods. First, going gluten-free is a no-brainer if you have skin conditions, but I'm going to take it a step farther. Other grains like corn, rice, oats, and barley can trigger inflammation in people and cause these same skin conditions. Next is dairy. Dairy has a lot of inflammatory proteins, which then further trigger this inflammation. And finally, common other foods that I see that can be inflammatory triggers are things like soy, eggs, and peanuts. Once again, there are other inflammatory foods that you need to eliminate, but eliminating these are key. And if you eliminate these foods, we need to eliminate them for at least 6 to 8 weeks before we start adding them back. And when we do add these foods back, we only want to add one of these type foods back about every 3 to 4 days. Because believe it or not, the inflammatory reaction that happens with these foods, because of the way our immune system works, it doesn't just mean if you eat the food today, you can have the reaction tomorrow. You got to give yourself about 3 to 4 days for these inflammatory reactions to happen. Because if you start adding back, let's say you eliminate these food and your skin conditions go away, and then all of a sudden you add back 2 or 3 of these in one meal, then the next thing you don't know what the root cause was. So adding them back slowly about every 2 to 3 days is important. So in terms of getting rid of those bad foods, that's big. But more importantly, we want to add back anti-inflammatory foods. Plenty of good, clean proteins, grass-fed beef, wild-caught salmon, clean poultry, those things that are not full of antibiotics are important for the protein aspect of things. Next, lots of good fat. A lot of your nuts, your seeds, wild-caught salmon, avocados, first cold-pressed olive oil, all these things prevent inflammation in the gut are important. And finally, plenty of fruits and vegetables. One, the fiber that are in many fruits and vegetables helps to replace those good prebiotics for your gut bacteria. But secondly, colorful fruits and vegetables have things called polyphenols. And polyphenols have antioxidant properties, which protects the oxidative stress that goes on. And if there's any one part of your body that has oxidative stress, it's your skin. Because a lot of times we're exposed to chemicals, but also to sun exposure causes this reactive oxygen species to happen more on the skin. And our skin truly loves these polyphenols to help it heal and also be better. That can also provide better use long-term. A second big gut cause of these skin conditions is something called leaky gut. That's where that skin barrier falls apart and things that shouldn't get in your system get in your system. And guess what? That pisses off your immune system. And a lot of times it rears its ugly head in these skin conditions. So we need to do the things to protect our gut lining. First, my most favorite thing to do is something called glutamine, which helps to seal up that gut lining and prevent leaky gut. Zinc carnitine is also something that prevents the inflammation in the gut that helps the gut lining. Bone broths are great, collagen, and lastly, things like colostrum actually have studies to show that they can reduce skin conditions by actually fixing and healing that gut lining. And the final 2 pieces of fixing the gut are 1, put back a good microbiome. You can do fermented foods, which those are great. If not, take a multi-strain probiotic, things that have things like Lactobacillus rhamnosus, Lactobacillus plantarum, and Bifidobacterium longum. Those all are strains that have been shown to help the gut. But the last thing that's super important to do this, and I'm forgotten, and especially as we age, is proper food digestion. You can eat a great diet, but if you don't absorb the nutrients or you don't break them down properly, it creates a lot of problems. Making sure you have adequate stomach acid so you can digest your food. Taking digestive enzymes is important. And finally, let's say you have poor fat absorption, or let's say you don't have a gallbladder, which I see so many patients nowadays without a gallbladder. Taking something like ox bile to make sure that you absorb those fat-soluble vitamins can be critical to make sure that you fix and repair your gut. Next, depleted vitamins and nutrients are key to make sure your skin stays healthy. Some of the key things that I like to look at are first, vitamin A. Believe it or not, vitamin A, which you hear a thing about retinoids, which have been on the market forever to protect your skin, is super important to make sure your skin stays healthy and heal, especially for gut lining. Without adequate amounts of vitamin A, that vitamin A gut lining cannot heal and it can't protect itself, and then you end up with leaky gut. So make sure you're taking adequate vitamin A. The next thing that you have to look at is vitamin D. There are so many studies, especially for things like psoriasis or conditions that your immune system's involved, like eczema. Low vitamin D has been shown to be a problem in terms of being a cause of these conditions. By just simply replacing vitamin D as a supplement or making sure you get adequate sunlight exposure, many of these conditions can clear up on its own. But we have to make sure with vitamin D we get enough, usually between 5 to 6, 7,000 units a day. But checking your levels is key. Having those levels in the 20 to 30 range really doesn't cut it. We need to push higher levels like 60 to 80. But vitamin D is one of my most favorite things to help make sure your skin stays cleared up because of its effects on the immune system. And two other key vitamins that I like to look at are vitamin C. Vitamin C is needed for collagen formation, and it's also a great antioxidant. Like we talked about, with sun exposure, you get a lot of oxidative stress on the skin. So vitamin C can be huge to help with these issues. And finally, vitamin E, and not just any vitamin E. Most of your cheap vitamin E products have something called tocopherols, but we're looking for products that are vitamin E that have what are called tocotrienols. These are anti-inflammatory and are great to reduce the inflammation that occurs with many of your skin conditions. Next, 3 key minerals that can also help you in terms of your skin are things like zinc, selenium, and magnesium. So I would say look for a good multivitamin that contains adequate amounts of these, because if you're low in these minerals, these can actually trigger skin conditions. And what about good fats? Omega-3s are essential for good, clean skin. As we talked about, many of these skin conditions are inflammation driven from the inside out. And if you can lower overall body inflammation, you're going to have better, nice, pretty skin. Omega-3s are the go-to to help promote skin. If you have a lot of dry skin, dry eyes, poor hair, skin, and nails, omega-3 is great for these conditions, not only because they provide good fat for your skin, but also they reduce inflammation. The other thing I like to look at is making sure you get adequate amounts. Most people just don't take enough. They don't take a good quality high omega-3 product, but more importantly, they don't take enough. I need to look for about 2,000 to 3,000 milligrams of EPA and DHA a day to help make sure you get adequate amounts to reduce this inflammation and improve your skin conditions. And finally, we talked about polyphenols and their antioxidant properties, but they also have a tremendous benefit on keeping your gut bacteria healthy. Eating colorful fruits and vegetables, eat as many different colors as many times a day are key. But there's also some key supplements that have polyphenols, and those are things like curcumin, resveratrol, green tea, and these are some of my favorites. And those combined with the other vitamins and nutrients can be very powerful to help make your skin more pretty and look a lot better. One of the key drivers that I see can cause a lot of skin problems are imbalance of hormones. And we see this so much now with different people getting older, living longer, and stress. You need to make sure you have good balance of estrogen and progesterone, especially in females, because these are key for healthy skin. Testosterone replacement's really popular right now, but testosterone replacement done wrong can be a disaster for your skin, because if we get too much testosterone or your body converts too much testosterone to something called DHT, we can produce an excessive amount of these androgens, and these can trigger skin changes. A lot of extra sebum, which is like the oil in the skin, which can trigger acne. So once again, we may be trying to treat your skin condition topical like acne with something on the skin, but it may be coming from the hormones or an imbalance of hormones that you have. Things like DHEA can also be an issue. If you take too much DHEA, it converts to testosterone. It can cause problems. And lastly is cortisol. Cortisol is that hormone that keeps us alive during stress, but unfortunately, our stress doesn't go away nowadays. And cortisol is a very inflammatory hormone when it's produced all the time. And even worse, it wreaks havoc on your gut. And we didn't talk about having good gut health is the key to good skin health. And if our cortisols are out of balance, that can trigger all of these skin problems and actually make them worse. Sometimes we got to look a little deeper for inflammatory triggers that we might not think about, or even toxins in our environment. I am seeing toxins so much with so many people right now. Pesticides in the foods that we eat, or even in our daily life. Many people, I have to ask, what do you do for a living? And you find out exposure to certain chemicals, plastics, pesticides, PFAs, and their jobs are wrecking their health. And like he said, everybody's a little different, but if you're loaded full of toxins and your body can't get rid of them and they begin to cause a lot of either endocrine disruption or other things, sometimes your way this manifests itself and the way that it exposes itself in you is it causes these skin conditions. So making sure that we're doing detox programs or looking at other toxins. So if you're having skin conditions and you clean up these other things and nothing else tends to fix your skin conditions, maybe you should consider toxin testing, because this may show one of the causes of inflammation that's making things bad. A lot of people have bad guts. They have a problem with inflammation. And what happens is we get a bad gut bacteria. So clearing up these infections with bad gut bacteria can be important to help cut down inflammation on the skin. And then finally, we do always have to ask, did your skin rashes or your eczemas happen when you change something in your skincare or your bath soaps or something that you're putting on your skin? Because I do see this sometimes. Some people are so sensitive to chemicals nowadays that all of a sudden it doesn't take much more than changing like your laundry soap or some new skincare product that your friend recommended to you that's supposed to be safe, healthy, and natural. But all of a sudden, you need to be looking at these labels for all of these excess chemicals that can cause problems. Because once again, most of the stuff we talk about is inflammatory from the inside out, but there are some triggers that I see sometimes that people overlook in terms of sunscreens and different things that are true problems with their overall skin health. And lastly, we need to support our skin in other ways. And one of the most important ways I see with many people is people who are dehydrated and don't get enough water. One of the ways you can make sure you have enough water for your skin to be healthy is do something like adding up your total weight and body weight in pounds, then take it divided by half, and that's how many ounces of water you should drink in a day. So if you weigh 200 pounds, you should drink about 100 ounces of water a day. So making sure you have drinking plenty of water like that, you need to add electrolytes, whether it be a pinch of sea salt or some good electrolytes. The other thing to keep in mind is to keep that skin hydrated, the more alcohol you drink and the more caffeine you do, that depletes your body water, which can make your skin look worse. There are many great skincare products on the market that have things like antioxidants, vitamin C's, retinoic acid, hyaluronic acid, or even things like niacinamide that have been shown to help the skin heal from the outside in. So looking at the high good quality products of these is definitely something to consider to provide you benefit. And lastly, be smart with sun exposure. I'm all for early morning sun exposure to set your circadian rhythms, but that's a good time to be in the sun because the UVA and UV rays are different. But if you get high daytime sun exposure, this UVA radiation can actually cause a lot of oxidative stress on the skin and just make it harder to keep good, healthy skin. And lastly, there's a lot of great information about red light therapy in terms of helping your skin heal and helping it be healthier. So now that you've heard all this, let's get an action plan. So first, it all starts with diet. Eliminate all those foods we talked about earlier that trigger inflammation and add in those foods that reduce inflammation. And when you do this, you're going to see many times your skin conditions may not totally clear up because that's one piece of the puzzle. But between eating good foods that fix your gut and getting rid of foods that cause inflammation, many skin conditions get a lot better. If it does clear up, the next thing I'm going to recommend you do is if you start adding back foods, start a food journal. Add that food on your food journal, monitor for 2 to 3 days, see what happens with your skin conditions. And if you don't have any problems, then maybe you can start slowly adding back foods. But when you find those foods that cause inflammation and cause problems, you just need to eliminate them because they're probably going to be a problem in the future. Next, upgrade your overall nutrition by adding plenty of omega-3s, whether you take a high-quality omega-3 supplement or add in things like avocado oil or olive oil, or do things like eating wild-caught salmon. Those are so critical in terms of helping heal from the inside out, the inflammation, and making your skin healthier. Next, add plenty of fruits and vegetables that have a lot of color, and then making sure you're drinking plenty of water with electrolytes, and this all goes to create a more powerful environment for your skin to be healthy. Next, support good gut health. Add a multi-strain probiotic or look at something like fermented foods. Next, think of something like bone broth that you can add to your diet that improves that gut integrity, that reduces the overall inflammation in your body. And when your gut's healthy, your skin's going to be healthy. Check your hormones. Run a comprehensive labs to look at what your hormone levels are like and bring them in balance and bring them in check. Discuss hormone replacement with your provider if you're low in hormones, but also if you're on hormones, what I find is key is make sure you're metabolizing them properly to get them out of your system because hormone metabolites are horrible for bad skin. And finally, calm inflammation daily by relaxation techniques. If you can keep your cortisol low, this is going to help keep your skin healthy. Getting adequate sleep, that's so important to make sure that our cortisol levels stay low and you stay relaxed. And then finally, if you have a job or you do something that you think you're exposed to toxins, maybe have your body check for toxins. Because if you do this plan, attack all of these different areas, I can almost bet you your skin's going to get healthier and these rashes are going to go away because you looked at the root causes and everybody has a unique cause for these skin issues, but attacking these 101 is your key to success. So whether you got a skin rash, you know somebody that's got a skin rash, and they need to look for solutions, this podcast, I hope you gave you the answers to solve these skin problems without a bunch of high dollar drugs, because that's one of the things I see nowadays. Many of these drugs just put a Band-Aid on things and don't really fix it. So if you found this useful, be sure to give me a like, share this podcast with your friends and family. And if you have more questions, I'd love for you to drop those in the comments or get back with me through Magnolia Pharmacy about different things you can do to make sure you have the healthiest skin. Because when your skin is healthy, your body's healthy. Thanks so much for joining me.